Hey guys, I just wanted to show you another location here that I walked. This is another probably not well-known trail. I made some videos about it last year, and when I posted some pictures about these locations, I was surprised to find that a lot of people that live in the area and have lived in the area for quite some time didn't know about it or didn't know much about it. So if you're in around, or you know, the Rochester, New Hampshire area, you know what you're looking at right here. Windjammers, blue seals. There's actually an old Boston, Maine train car right here that I guess they use it for storage. But this was an old train yard right here. And you have the New Hampshire North Coast tracks that run through here. This building was an old, used to be a freight house. I went there to take some pictures of it, I think last summer. And then some people came out of this building, some guy, and he said, "Oh, you're trespassing," which is weird because I went over there because I saw other people like constantly walking through here. And another woman came out and kind of yelled at me. And then he told me to scoot. Um, I thought that was funny. I thought walking was more effective than scooting, so I walked out. I said, okay, I won't take pictures of the building. I don't know how true it is that this entire area is private, but okay. I just left. I didn't argue about it. So anyway, when you come down through here, you walk down this sidewalk, or you just drive, obviously. You're going to come to a public parking lot right here along Columbus. So Columbus is here. This is the parking lot, and this is Lambert Court. So this is a public parking place. You can park here. It's free parking. Now, the interesting thing about this, where Lambert Court comes out right here and it intersects with Upham Street, right here in this point, and even, this time of year, it's easy to see, but there's a whistle post right here. So again, you'd be able to see that very easily this time of year. You cross the street, because where this sidewalk is, and you'll see this sidewalk gets a lot wider here. This used to be a set of tracks right here. It was either the Worcester, Nashua, Portland, or Worcester, Nashua, Rochester. Both of those trains ran through this area. So right here, you have a nice wide a sidewalk. And there's actually some sculptures here, some cool artwork. And a lot of people notice that easily, but you don't notice something on the other side here. There are some whistle posts and railroad ties right in these trees here. If you're walking the sidewalk and just look, again, especially before the foliage grows in, you'll see all that stuff before this is all green, full of leaves and everything and plants. The whistle posts are still pretty easy to see, but you could actually see them as you're driving by, which is pretty cool. So look, there's a few in here. I think I counted 3 of them. Normally whistle posts will be like a quarter mile from a crossing. I think when you see a couple closer together, I believe that indicates that there's multiple crossings. I could be wrong there, but I've seen that situation before. So there's a few in there. And there's actually a couple railroad ties in the ground here with date nails in them. I saw at least 1 or 2 date nails right there. So here's the local pride. And again, if you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. So you get to this corner here of Lowell Street. Okay, and right across the street is, it says Brock's, but I think it's Hammond now, Hammond Lumber. And right here, you'll see, you cross the street, it is actually marked. Now, it's not marked on the ground. There's no signage there or anything, as far as I can remember. Not as far as like a year ago. But it is a public trail. So you walk along, you can clearly see the trail along the back of the Hammond building. Brock's, Hammond, whatever. And there is a trail that goes through here. Now, I know some people told me they don't like to walk through here because, well, I don't want to really get into it, but they don't want to walk through here for certain reasons. And hopefully the city can take care of that. But anyway, I did walk through there. Again, like I said, if you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. So there's a trail that goes through here. Now, there are things to see on this trail. There are markers out here. There's concrete and wooden whistle posts. I did see a fairly thick beam shaped like a whistle post in the ground. Maybe that's what it was, I'm not sure. But there are posts and things like that out there, railroad signals. So you keep walking through here. Now, eventually you're going to get to Old Dover Road. It's a pretty wide trail. So here's Old Dover Road right here, okay? This is where the train would have crossed. So from here, probably all the way back into here, it's railroad ties. They're still sitting there. There's no rails, but there's railroad ties. Some are stacked on top of the others, but the ones they're stacked on top of are right where they were. That's where the train ran on, right there, okay? Now, I ran into a situation here where I walked to here, and this is actually quite elevated here, maybe 12 to 15 feet off the ground, because there was a bridge there. You had to cross this road. So I got to the end of this, and I wasn't sure about the other side. So I had contacted the city of Rochester, and they didn't really know what I was talking about at first, but they said they'll look into it. And they called me back and said, actually, that is part of the original plans for a rail trail, this other side here. Because I wanted to know, can I legally walk over there? Because I didn't see any signage. Typically, if I don't see a sign, I mean, that's what I look for in places that I don't know. And I would always say, if there's nothing saying I can't, then I will. So I knew it went to as far as the Spalding right here. And you can see where it's open right here. And there's a fence down here. And there's a community over here, but there's a fence right here. Okay? Because this is where the train would have crossed before the Spalding was built, the turnpike. So they told me, yeah, you can walk there. That's part of the original. It's still considered a rail trail today, but it's incomplete, and it's incomplete because there's no bridge. So I'll take you down here. So what I did, now I can only look at this through certain times of year here. There's going to be foliage. So when you look at Old Dover Road, okay, this is the spot where it comes out right here. So like I said, the tracks would have been right up here. So it's pretty high above the road, not too high. It's kind of hard to tell really, but right about there is where you're walking out. And that bridge, and I've only seen one picture of that bridge, but that bridge would have been angled. So it would have been angled across the street. So it would have gone from here across to right here. It was just a typical old steel bridge. I don't know if anybody who lives in the area remembers that. But what I did is last year, I would just pull over right here and just walk up here. It was easy enough to do. So again, the street views, they're only giving me times when there's a lot of leaves and stuff, so I can't really show you. But if you drive over there and pull over, not this time of year, I think you guys still have a lot of snow on the ground. But if you pull over here, you can walk right up here and you'll see big stones, like square stones here for the former supports to the bridge. And there's rows of railroad ties going all the way through here, all the way, just about all the way to the Spalding. And there are some date nails in those ties. Now, there's not, I didn't notice any whistle posts or any signals or anything like that there. There would have been at some point because you have Railroad Ave and then Pickering would be a crossing too. And I tried to get through that crossing at Pickering, but the brush is too thick. You can't walk through it. Or I couldn't anyway. So I just wanted to show you that at one time, there was a bridge, a steel railroad bridge crossing Old Dover Road. And that's part of the problem. I did look at some old plans from back in 2001, I think, for this trail when they were first thinking about building it. And what they talked about mostly was obviously private property concerns and things like that. And this would obviously be a major concern. You'd have to build like almost like an arched footbridge or something to get across the street. But anyway, That's probably not going to happen, but you can see right here, this is a trail. People do use this quite often to walk from here back to downtown area. So again, on this side, railroad ties for quite a ways. I wouldn't recommend riding a mountain bike because that's going to be quite a bumpy ride. There are signals back here and things like that. And even along that sidewalk, right? I showed you at first, there's sculptures and things there. Even driving past it, especially this time of year, you will see the whistle post standing in the woods. There's, I believe, like I said, 3 of them. And right at the corner there of, I think it was Lambert Court or something like that, there is a whistle post right on that corner, right on the point. So, yeah, check it out sometimes, maybe before everything grows in, maybe sometime in April. And you'll see right up here, you'll see all the large stones here stacked up where the bridge used to sit, where that end of the bridge used to sit. And you can walk all the way back to where it hits the Spalding, the turnpike. And there is a fence there, so you're not going to walk any further anyway. But check out those railroad ties when you get a chance and things like that. And look up the plans. I don't know who was involved in that. But again, there's obvious reasons why it was never completed, and this would be one of them. I don't know how you'd get across. I wish it was planned better ahead of time when they built the turnpike, because if you take the Rockingham Rail Trail, for instance, you can go all the way through on those trails because they had built tunnels underneath the roads. So you're walking underneath the highways, underneath the roads. So they had actually planned all that out when they built that, which was pretty smart. I'm not like putting anyone down or insulting anyone. I'm just saying here they obviously weren't thinking about that when they built the turnpike or these other roads, but that's okay. But it is cool. One thing I'd like to see though, I don't know if anybody has a picture of this old bridge. I believe I either saw a picture of this steel bridge, or they had posted a picture saying this is what that bridge looked like. I'm not really sure. And I don't know, again, I don't know what year it would have been removed, but would have been a pretty long bridge because, again, it would have been angled from over here to this corner right here. So anyone in the area knows when it was removed, let me know in the comments. And it is what I just showed you, is a public trail on both sides. You can walk, start from the parking lot. Where you're walking on that wide sidewalk, that's where the tracks were. And that's why those whistle posts are in the little wooded area there. So check those out if you get the chance. I'm sure many people over the years walk those sidewalks daily, drive past it daily, and never even knew that stuff was there. And yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to see that history is still sitting there for us. All right, guys. Just leave me some comments. Let me know if you've been there, if you know about it, or if you know anything about what used to be here, like when that bridge was removed, things like that. I'd appreciate it. All right, take care.